Okay, so let's just jump right into it. So where exactly are you located? And then also just describe to me everything that you heard and then also you saw last night.
Yeah, so I live in DC, South DC, to be more specific, at Buzzard Point. So Buzzard Point has an advantage point of view to the river, if we see it right behind me, okay? The river, the Reagan Airport, the JBAB military base, and of course the Anacostia. So it's a meeting point for all of these government of body of water in the same place. So it was about 8:50 p.m. last night when I was getting ready to go to bed. And at that particular moment, I heard bang, bang, loud bang within two bang, bang within seconds of each other. Uh, I immediately, the sound caught my attention because it wasn't something you normally hear. It's something the sound is like, make me feel like if I'm in a war zone, if I'm watching a movie set, I'm in a movie theater. Um, I try to get a sense of what's happening. I text some of my friends in the area if they heard anything. I haven't heard anything. Nobody said, like, nobody was able to respond at that time. I turned my attention to social media. That's when the news started to break up, whether it's that there were some reports that a plane crashed with a helicopter. It was scary to even think about two planes collided. It was insane to think about military Black Hawk collided to the commercial jets. It's just hard to fathom all of this. Uh, there is a power plant and a multiple, government facilities south the river. So I was thinking maybe could be military drill, could be explosion at the water plant. It could be anything, but nothing in that degree. So within around 9 p.m., I started to notice a lot of the DC resources. We're talking about DC Park, DC Police, Arlington Police, U.S. Coast Guards, firefighters, trucks, helicopters. Every resource you can think of is heading toward the river at that crash site. In between, the east side of the river is where the crash scene occurred. The west side of the river is where the runway of the Reagan Airport is. And in between, there was a lot of, flash of helicopter lights on the water just to try to spot any sort of debris, any sign of life, any humans, any sense of hope. Most of the river is frozen, and it's been frozen for the last 10 days since the inaugurational week. It's been cold. The water temperature, as I checked yesterday and this morning, is about 39-degree. Hypothermia is an absolutely inevitable. It would happen within minutes or two. The latest news from what I heard is they were able to find 28 human bodies. And I'm thinking, where would the remaining passengers could be? And for me, as a certified Coast Guard captain, my thinking is this water has a very strong current going south the river, upstream to downstream. So there is a possibility that they could find the plane fuselage, human bodies, a couple miles south of the river, just because of the strong current going south. Could be drifted toward the shoreline, could be drifted miles and miles south. At this point, it's possibility, but definitely it's sunset time here, local time in DC, and the recovery mission has drastically slowed down. As I look out my window, and I only see a couple boats, and I see commercial vessels trying to help the DCPD in their effort to look for any human bodies in the water. They did deploy a few divers in the water. They've been trying to find any sign of life, but we've been watching, we've been trying to help. Uh, I had a lot of volunteers that are trying to go dive. They have wetsuit, they're ready. But of course, the river is off limit. No one is allowed to get in the river, whether you have a private boat or commercial boat. The area is an absolute off limit at this point.
I just want to ask you about, you heard, you first described hearing it first before you actually saw it. Do you remember when you first looked out the window and what you actually saw?
I saw smoke. I saw smokes, and even with the smoke, I did not think for seconds that could be a plane crash. I did see smokes in the south side of the Reagan Airport, but not in my wildest dream I ever thought that could be a plane debris, plane crash. Could be anything. Could be the smoke could come from the power plant. Just couldn't put the points together that that could be a plane crash.
And now reflecting back, I mean, we're talking less than 24 hours later. I know you've done a lot of media and you've done these interviews a lot, but I mean, just reflecting on what the last 24 hours has been,
Yeah.
how can you kind of put that into words?
I mean, it's hard to blame who is who at this point due to the preliminary investigation. I did talk to several pilots that I know off my hands, and I was talking to them, and they have experienced the same issue when it comes to uh, flying commercial plane, and they always meet with helicopters flying in a low altitude within the DC airspace. And has been their nightmares for years, and they have raised the flags for years. The right of way, from my understanding, is always for commercial planes. And to see that happen, that the helicopters intervened on the way of the plane, that was something to notice. Also add to that, the air traffic controller, they are understaffed, they work double shift, they work 6 days a week. So the communication have been not in the right order, and so it's hard to blame, the FAA and their short staff with these long hours of work. But someone got to take accountability. It's it's still early in the investigation. I do believe that everyone in the position, whether air traffic controller or pilots or anyone involved in this area, is an expertise. They're subject matter expert. They haven't been in that position without training, without degrees, without uh, high intelligence to navigate through this very busy traffic area, air traffic area. We're talking about 3 airports within 30 minutes of each other. We're talking about Andrew Base within 10 minutes of Reagan airports. So that just gives you a perspective how busy this area is. And add to that, JBAB is also where Marine One helicopter is stationed. So we're talking about the presidential helicopter that take off to the White House back and forth. CIA helicopters flies back and forth around the waterways as well. Military helicopter flies over the river every day. So, and with low altitude, we're talking about literally 1,000 feet,
Mhm.
maybe even less than 1,000 feet, like 500, 600 feet. It's low altitude. I'm on a high rise. I live on the top floor, and sometimes I can see the helicopter flying within my eyesight. So to that extent, this is how the degree of difficulties and danger from helicopters flying around the DC area.